we're here at the beautiful Creekerton again, and I actually already started filming this and accidentally stopped it because we have our phone wedged here in between our headrest of our driver's seat again to set it somewhere. Yeah, but so I tried showing you the creek and then it just turned off. So we're not gonna do that, but we're here at the creek. And originally my plan this morning for this lovely Tuesday was to like do some more spring cleaning and like organizing of stuff. Like we've been wanting to go through our old clothes and stuff so that we can gather them to donate to the thrift store here soon for the new season and hopefully get some new stuff. This is not comfortable at all. I'm sitting right now. Again, I'm like hunched over like a little troll. I don't know, but it works. Anyway, so we didn't feel like doing that because we've been working on that kind of slowly over time, sorting through things, and just in general, like cleaning and like organizing is not necessarily the first thing I want to do in the morning usually. But that's just one of those things we've been slowly chipping away at and need to get done. And so we keep pushing it further on our list, our to-do list of like things to get done. I'm just like, it's not, that urgent or important. Certainly not more than other things I'd rather be doing, like coming to the creek again, right? And shopping, things like that. Oh my God, my hair's on my face. So yeah, and it's still quite cold here. We've had a few or like a handful of warmer days where it's reached up into the 60s and then even the 70s a couple of the days, which has been really nice, and we've been taking advantage of that. But most of the time it's still been pretty cold, even though we're in early spring here. It's like late winter, early spring, that in between time where it kind of mixes. So like today it's only in the 40s as like a high, and the real feel is in the 30s, like close to freezing. We have a freeze warning for at night, which can affect like our plants and like gardens and stuff like that. So it's still pretty cold and windy. But we do have more sun, which makes it feel warmer, a lot nicer. And yeah, and then I was like, do I want to go to the park or to the creek? Because we have been enjoying that new park. But again, like as much as I can spend time at the creek on a weekday when like people aren't here right now, or not as many, at least there are a few other cars, and we can walk literally right along the creek and like see the animals and interact with like some local people here. It's nice. We prefer that over the more tucked away park that we found. Yeah, although we like both, but just a different vibe, different mood. Oh my God. Yeah, one of the things about my car that I like is this center console armrest thingy that I have. It's movable, so you can actually like put it up to make more room here so that I can sit like this. Yeah, but yeah, so we decided to come to the creek this morning, and I had just stopped at this local farm that I really like. I've been going to for many years. Here and there. I used to have a CSA with them about 10 years ago, which is crazy. That'll show you how old I am. Yeah. And which is, one of those programs where with other farms, at least in the past, I don't know what it's like now, when you would have a share program or CSA with them, usually they would pre-select what fruits and vegetables you would get from them. And then you would get, your box. Either you would come pick it up or whatever. And with this particular farm, what I really liked about them was that not only could you select for yourself what, fresh produce you wanted to get, but that they also have other options. So like you could use your money that you put into your CSA account for things like their baked good items, their hot food bar, their soups and salads, and they even have like ice cream at this shop. They have like candies, houseware, and even the other thing, right, which is what we indulged in a little bit today, is local made, like handcrafted goods, which I got really excited about. Because every now and then we'll stop in there, but again, it's more like a treat or like a fun little thing for us to do. We don't get to do it all the time. But when I do, we just make the most of it. So I decided to stop there this morning to get us, something to eat from their hot bar. I got like a hot bar and then like a cold deli item. One of their teas, which I've been sipping on the drive over here, which is so good. They used to have a peach tea one that I really liked, and they did away with it. But right now they have this one here, which we really like. The Old Farmer Tea Company. It's iced tea with sweet orange. This is definitely more of like a summery kind of flavor, but it's nice. It's light. It's refreshing. It's not too sweet. And you get that little hint, that kick of caffeine from the black tea, even though I've already had some caffeine this morning. So yeah, we got that. And then there's our food, which we have yet to eat. But I was like, ooh, we got to talk first, because I have some things on my mind that I wanted to talk about. And then they also have some leftover of their like Easter items, baked goods, things that they made for that. So I grabbed some of that for me to try, and then my guy later at work, because I know that he would like some of those things. And then what I was really the most excited about was, again, the handmade like local stuff that they were selling. So they have one of these cute little claw clips, which is like this pastel-y, almost like lime green with a little bit of blue hints and like white swirling in there, which I thought was so cute. I gotta take off the sticker. Yeah, it's kind of like acrylic plastic, I think, but it's pretty sturdy, heavy duty. Yeah, and they're these beautiful little flowers. So I was like, that's so cute. It actually matches this skirt that I got from the thrift store a couple years ago that I really love, but it's like too big for me. So when I haven't worn it in a while because of that, because I had to like either pin or like tie it to wear it, but it's so beautiful. I love the material. So I've been contemplating, you know, I'm like, do I either like redonate the skirt back to the store, or do I use its material to make into something else? Because I just love it so much. It's beautiful, and it looks just like this clip color. It matches it. So that's one thing. And then they have these little like handmade bead bracelet things. This is so stinking cute. They remind me of like the little heart bubbles, and they're that, oh, it's like frosted material. And then again with like the pastel colors, very Easter-like. I thought this was really cute for like a beaded bracelet. I'm not sure though, the cord that they used in it is one of those plasticky ones that doesn't have a whole lot of stretch in it that I fear might break. But even if it does, I could just rethread it with the beads, because I think the beads are really cute. So yeah, I like that too. And then I think what I was most excited for out of all of them were these bad boys. So these knit, I guess, is it knit or crochet? I'm not sure. Keychains. And you know, I love my keychains. I took down the one that was hanging in my car of the cat. It's over here in my door now. And it's so funny. Wait, let me see if I can grab it. Where is it? It's not there. Actually, I don't know where it is then. Where did I put it? I don't know, but when I took it down from hanging up here, it had a little like point on its head, like a little Hershey Kiss or something, or like little elf doll thing. Because it was hanging there and stuck in there for so long that it made its head into like a cone shape, which I thought was funny. Yeah, but these keychains, and then I have my nurse bee one, the plague doctor one, since I work in healthcare and see a lot of death. Yeah, these ones, it's a sunflower and then a little white flower, daisy-like or something like that. And when I saw this, the first thing I thought of was my one old friend who passed away, because she really liked sunflowers. Yeah, and they do in the summer, along with a few other places in the area, do like sunflower festivals where they have the fields of sunflowers that you can go and take pictures in and collect them and all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, so, but this, you know, first thing I thought of was her, and I was like, oh, I you know, so we decided to get that. I thought that was really cute. And then the other one is a little strawberry and the same little daisy flower. I love playing with them. Yeah, and these can be like another like stem toy for us too. They're nice and soft. Yeah, really, really cute. So I was really excited about that this morning. And then let me see here. Let me see what time it is. See how much time we have to actually talk. I wanted to go on a walk too before we go into work here. It's about 11:15. I go into work at noon. So, but I just wanted to, I was like, oh, I could make a little short showing these things, and I might later, but I had some other things on my mind, and I was like, we'll just chat for a bit. Yeah. When I was in there, I was asking them if they had a card for whoever made the items, because originally they didn't know, and then they were like, oh, it's like the owner or whatever, but she didn't have a business card, a website, or anything like that, which I thought was crazy. But in certain places that you live and that are a little more like rural and stuff like that, I mean, it makes sense as to why you wouldn't, especially because they have such a consistent client base as it is coming to their farm. But I was like, if you wanted to like expand the business into some other places, because at our gift shop at my job, they have some other like local vendors that they sell in their shop. And then as well as the hospital we were in the fall. And that was where we found those blingy pens that we shared on here or whatever. But I love stuff like that. And it really does suit us and like our interests and the things that we like, and just so cute. And it's nice, and it feels good to support local small businesses, women-owned businesses, things like that, so. And this was, again, one of those small local women-owned businesses. And I was like, this is right up my alley. Yeah. And then they asked to take down like my name and email or whatever to maybe talk to her later. But I was like, I'm just a girl asking. Like, I'm not like some like networking bitch. But at the same time, like, it is good to like know people, and like, because she could possibly like bring it into like our gift shop or something like that. I'm like, I mean, if you want the opportunity to possibly make more money, but not everyone thinks like that or like wants that extra responsibility and things. But it's a part of who we are and how we think, and we just like to support people in that way. Yeah. But I don't know that I necessarily would want to do all that either. I mean, I prefer a much, slower kind of lifestyle, and just, I don't know, being able to do stuff like this. Right. So, one of the first things I thought when I woke up this morning, as I was literally like sitting my ass up in bed and about to stand up, I was like, how did I survive this long? I was like, how did I manage to live this long? And I'm not even entirely sure why that was like one of our first thoughts. I mean, a ton of other things as we're like laying there in bed, because we don't just hop up out of bed first thing in the morning. We tend to like lay there and like we'll scroll on our phone, we'll look at things, breathe a little bit, drink some water, Again, we like take things very slow. But again, I was like, what made me think of that? And I was just like laughing at myself. Yeah. Cause, I mean, for where we're at in life right now, we feel quite good overall. We're quite happy, quite contented and satisfied with a lot of different areas of our life and the way things are going. However, right, like there are certain things that happen to us on a day-to-day basis, around us and with people that just make me laugh sometimes, because I'm like, oh God, like how are we living? Because I don't know, it can get a little crazy, wild, chaotic sometimes in simple ways, nothing like too crazy, but just, there's always like some things coming up, and then we're like, oh. And again, I think in the past I would have been more confused by certain events like this, like why is this happening? But since we've, come to learn and understand things a bit differently over time, and particularly our Pluto dominance, right? And like that association with, as we've talked about before, like the transformative process, the death, like rebirth cycle, right? And change, and so we've been contemplating on this a lot, how like, again, since I was a kid, and this is a bit, I don't know, it depends, like different people, like who consider themselves like neurodivergent or whatever, sometimes can struggle with change, right? And especially those more on like the autistic side of the spectrum. And that, I mean, it's because it is considered a spectrum, that doesn't mean that we all experience things in the same way, right? We all have very different, varied experiences of just about anything and everything. But since I was a child, particularly, while there are certain things that we can hyperfixate on and have like more intense interest in, specific interest, and like we like those things and we kind of cling to them and like we do them repetitively, at the same time we are almost like a lot, or like not near constantly, but like a lot pretty often looking for like new things, right? And so we do still like to have new experiences, try new things. And where was I going with this? well, and so there's like the novelty aspect of that, right? Like I just showed like some of the like keychains and like little goods that we got from the store, right? Trying new foods, things like that. Um, but then also in regards to like things that happen to us that are out of the blue or kind of like unexpected, you know? Like I'm thinking specifically of some things that have been going on at home, like things that have been breaking and like needing repair or like replacement suddenly, stuff like that. And so my housemate has been like freaking out a little bit because to her it's like unexpected and new, and because she is not totally familiar or understanding of how to deal with certain things, it can just stress her out, you know, and especially like with the economy and like the cost of so many different things, you know, like we can understand why, but at the same time, like we each have like a responsibility to tend to and care for, you know, these different aspects of life. And yeah, so there's been like some of that kind of stuff coming up, and I've been doing what I can to help her along that process, but still it's like a lot of like, you know, just, I don't know, moving parts, different things going on. So it's been interesting to see. And again, I think that what this reflects back to me personally is how many instances in my own life I've been either, again, like in my own situation or people that are around me, I've witnessed or been a part of like significant life phases for them, like where I don't know if we've really specifically talked about this yet, but I'm like, here we are. We just led to it. Yeah. So like, and I, you know, joked about like working in healthcare, you know, like seeing a lot of death. Like it is true. Like we have witnessed a lot of that. But then also the death, as far as like, as we bring magic or like the tarot into it, right? Again, represents a larger process associated with transformation, right? And so it doesn't always have to be like a physical death, but it can be like an internal processing of different things. And so, and that causes us to either look at ourselves or each other or the world around us in a different way. It's associated with this death process. And I think, you know, a lot of times people can struggle with their own internal processing in different ways, right? And we tend to be very good in situations like that are either like high stress or like sudden events going on, um, situations of like calamity, you know, like all kinds of stuff like that, right? And it's interesting, right? Because a part of it is like we look at the way people and like children specifically are raised in this current world and like in certain kinds of environments, right? Where they're almost like trained in a way to be a certain way. And so, you know, because for me personally, right, like other than being plutonic, you know, I also experienced a lot of things growing up in my youth and in situations that I don't want to say like forced me to, but definitely put a kind of pressure on me as a child to figure out for myself, to come to solutions, and to try to understand and make a way for myself in a place and around people who weren't able to help me do that, right? And so again, like I was kind of trained early on how to think and act in certain situations in order to like help people around me and to it's interesting. It's a little like iffy, right? And that's also where we've had to learn boundaries over the years and be careful in different situations, relationships, work environments, things like that, right? Where we're not like giving too much or we're not doing too much. We're not taking on too much of the responsibility that belongs to other people just because we can do something, just because we can hold it or we can understand it in a different way or we can come up with a solution doesn't mean that we necessarily should, right? And we so frequently have people pulling at us or like seeking us out to help them or to do things for them that are outside of like our natural normal roles, right? And so we really have to be careful and mindful of this on a pretty consistent basis in saying like no to a lot of things. And even to myself, right? Like this morning, I was like, you know, I have my plan for the day and my like points, literally like ABC, like this is what I'm going to do. And then I woke up and I was like, I don't really feel like doing any of that, you know? And we practice more like mental agility or flexibility, right? And being able to move those things around, right? To make that space and create that time for us to live our lives in more of the way that we truly want to and that feels good to us. And that is nurturing and nourishing my own well-being so that I can show up better for the people in my life, you know? Yeah. And so one of the ways we do that and that we've been practicing for a while is like, you know, coming to the creek when we can, especially like as the weather gets nicer. And, you know, we went to the little farm or whatever. And then like very basic everyday things, like make sure you hydrate, make sure you're like consuming nutritious food, make sure you're getting some sort of movement in, you know, like I go on walks, simple things, right? It doesn't have to be anything crazy. But yeah, just all kinds of things to prioritize the self so that I can, you know, continue to give to others. Yeah. And not be, wiped out. What's the word? Not be squeezed dry, not be consumed by the needs of the people in the world around me. And I know that this is something that so many people struggle with on an ongoing basis, especially in this current climate in the world and what is currently happening. It is now more than ever very crucial and important that we focus on taking care of ourselves properly so that we can continue to give and to help those around us in whichever, you know, small ways we can. And again, it doesn't have to be crazy. Yeah, it's been interesting still continuing to like watch and listen to a lot of what's been going on in the world and people's commentary on it, people sharing their own thoughts and opinions on it. And I often wonder as I'm witnessing a lot of this, like what does life for each of us look like outside of the chaos, outside of what we're seeing on our screens, right? Outside of what is taking so much of our attention, our energy, our emotions. Like, what are we doing on a daily basis that is creating the most change? First and foremost within ourselves, but then out into the world, into the environment, right? Because, I mean, we can speak or scream at the top of our lungs or write things, you know, on our phone or on a computer. And, you know, we can form campaigns and we can start riots. I mean, we can do all sorts of things, right? Organize different things. But ultimately, the dent or the effect that a lot of those things have in the long run is very minimal compared to what could potentially be done on a larger scale if we perhaps shifted our focus in some ways. Yeah, and I mean, for me particularly, right, like I have a lot of my own like thoughts and ideas on these things. However, the way that we have sought to approach it is by mainly what we're doing right now, right? But it extends much further, you know, into the future here. And yeah. And again, I often think about like as far as the times go, right? And like not knowing the times, like we're only aware of so much at any given time, what we have access to, what kind of information about just about anything in the world, right? And our lives, as so many people have said, right, can be so short. And we don't ever really know when our lives will end, right? Or when we'll be hit or experience something that drastically reduces our lifespan or affects our quality of life, all kinds of things like that, right? And these are things that people are struggling with, you know, on a daily basis. And so they have a different view of what life is like and how to tackle it or how to approach it. Yeah, and I think about that pretty frequently. Again, having been around death a lot, having lost many people in my life and loved many people, I think, you know, like, regardless of what's happening in the world, what do I personally feel like I am meant to, or I feel called to, or I am really desirous of doing with my life? Like, what part do I play, what role and what, you know, can I do with what I have available to me, with my resources, with my time, my energy, my own love, right? Like, what can I create? What can I bring and birth into the world? What can I give, you know, towards the betterment of both the present and the future, and in helping to rectify the past, possibly, right? So just a little bit of, you know, like the way we think about things and how we're approaching as we're doing all of this, right? Yeah. So I think that's actually it. I mean, there are a lot of other things I had on my mind that we could possibly talk about, but I don't know. We were just kind of led there. So, and yeah, I still got to eat and possibly take this walk before I go. So that, I don't know. That's all. Yeah, I hope that you are all having a wonderful, beautiful day. And I love you very much. And I'll see you again soon, okay?